I really can't wait to talk about UDFAs. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, so let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the April 24th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Yeah, I've just about worn out on the draft, and I'm finding the intrigue of the UDFAs, the undrafted free agents, that scramble that happens over the next, 72 hours right after the draft ends to see who the Rams pick up. You know, some of the names of people they've interviewed. You don't want to waste a draft pick on them, but they might be there afterwards. And there's always gems in there, and this feels like it gives you a lot to talk about. The draft itself, man, it's played, right? It's put up or shut up. You know, they used to tell us when we played basketball that playing the game on Friday night was the payoff. The work was everything else. And I think for those of us that have been following the Rams and doing this stuff in the draft season, it's been a lot of work, right? How many mock drafts have you looked at? How many mock drafts have you done but just haven't told anybody? You know, you got some downtime and, well, I'm going to do a mock draft, right? And so tomorrow it's ready. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Friday, 9 a.m. on Saturday. So I am looking forward to coming on live after each one of those broadcasts and doing a 15-minute deal and just reviewing the draft picks up to that time. Don't want to go too long because we want to have the overall view of things on Monday. And of course, there's going to be things that happen, the things the Chargers do that are going to be interesting. And of course, we always want to keep an eye on the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Arizona Cardinals, who have six picks in the first 100, including pick number 4 overall. So we're looking forward to that. In terms of the whole draft process, who's fading on me? I got to tell you, I have got Latu fatigue. Everybody says Latu, and I'm just burned out on Latu. I just am. I'm not feeling it, and I could be wrong. Rams draft him, and he turns out to be the next Leonard Floyd. I'm good as gold, and I'll do my mea culpas, but I'm just not feeling it for him. And I know some UCLA people out there, like Steve Ramirez, are going to be a little upset with me, but I'm just not feeling it. Who's growing on me? Well, the guy that's growing on me is Jaden Daniels. And I've been really slow to come around on Jaden Daniels because I still have in my head seen him play at Arizona State, where I wasn't impressed at all. And I have to say, it's not even his tape that impresses me even now as much, because you could always put together a good tape. It's just seeing him interviewed. He just feels more authentic than even Caleb Williams at this point. Am I saying he's better than Caleb Williams? No. But I think with Jaden Daniels, he feels a little bit more like what you see is what you get. In regards to Drake May, I just never seen Drake May play well, right? I've seen the highlight films, but every time I watched him live, I was always disappointed. And I was surprised I caught myself looking more and more at Jaden Daniels this last week and a half. And so he's kind of grown on me, while Latu has not. Rams take either one of those guys, and of course, we'll be all in. All right. I did a mock draft today. I kind of posted it here on somewhere on YouTube. They have a place where you can post. I don't know if anybody saw it. But in that mock draft, what I did was I traded number 19. And the only reason I'm telling you right now is I want to hear your thoughts about it after the break. But I traded number 19 to the Colts for number 46 overall. And you're going, what? Are you crazy? Just bear with me. I traded number 46 overall along with I traded for number 46. I traded the first round pick, 19th, for the 46th pick, a fourth round pick, 117, a sixth round pick at 191, and defensive lineman, the edge player, Kwity Paye from the Colts. What do you think about that? You get an established edge guy, right? Established, not great, but established edge guy who's playing in the NFL now, who's a legitimate NFL player. You still get the 46th pick, 117th pick. You're now in the fourth round, and you get an extra sixth round pick probably to play with, because Snead's going to do something. So tell me what you think of that trade. Traded number 19 to the Colts for Kwity Paye, 46th overall in the second round, 117 in the fourth, and 191 in the sixth. Lay it into me. Tell me what I did wrong. But that's how I was dancing with my mock draft. And we'll get to the rest of that here on the other side of things. We're also going to talk about Vince the Prince's birthday today. And we're also going to remember how the Rams almost got a guy. Well, we almost got the next Ray guy back in 78. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What do you think the Rams are going to do? Have to ask that question. I am thinking that they move out of 19, which I don't think is a surprise to anyone. And I'm also thinking that they could make that move for a veteran. That's how I acted today in my mock draft. And I think could be to collect picks, right? Collect picks and premium picks, and they'll do that. If they stay at 19, I'm thinking the Rams go offense. I can't shake, Sean McVay having a chance to have his choice of an offensive player high up and not wanting to take it. It doesn't have to be a wide receiver. It could be a tackle. Although the way the Rams work their deals with Alaric Jackson and Joe Noteboom, it makes me think they won't go tackle in the first round. I could be wrong. But I do sense wide receiver. I've seen some mock drafts where Brock Bowers drops to 19. And I think if Brock Bowers is there, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen withstanding, they're going to take Brock Bowers. So I do have this sense of offense at number 19 if they don't trade. It could be a tackle as well. The only thing I just don't feel comfortable with is giving up capital to move up for a tackle when I think you got a draft that is loaded with tackles and you can get the guy you want at 19. I'm sorry. Maybe it's not the guy they want, but it is the guy that they're feeling good about. In the second round, third round, fourth round, third round, the two third rounders, 52, 83, 99. I'm thinking they can move here as well. It's not something the Rams haven't done before, but with those picks, I'm seeing defensive tackle, wide receiver, edge, and if not at number 19, then an offensive lineman here as well. Those are the things I think the Rams go after. I don't know. Are they going to spend it on a defensive player? I feel edge at 19 feels really risky unless you've got some surefire guy. They foolishly, not the Rams, the NFL, whoever did it, the voters, gave the rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year business to the Anderson kid in Houston. He didn't do anything last year. He couldn't even carry the jockstrap of Kobe Turner, and he was barely Byron Young. And that just shows you the risk of drafting an edge high. And you better be darn sure if you're going to draft an edge high. And DT, I think you can get an interior defensive lineman later on in the draft, and it's about depth as opposed to looking for that superstar. We've got something special in Kobe Turner. Right now, we just need some big bubbas to put around him. So, again, that's how I feel there. Speaking of a mock draft, we do have Dan O's mock draft coming in, and so we'll be sharing that also after the break. Here's something that's really interesting. Officially, I've looked everywhere. Trade rumors, what else? TradeRumors.com, NFLTradeRumors.com, Walter Camp, different websites everywhere looking for players the Rams have officially interviewed. That's by Zoom or in person or worked out like Chop Robinson recently. And I thought it was interesting. The Rams have interviewed 19 players that we know of. Only 3 of them seem to be surefire first rounders. That's Rome Odunze, Fontenot from Washington, and Chop Robinson. And you could add a 4th one in there if you want to say Bo Nix, right? Because no one's really quite sure about where Bo Nix or even Penix are going to go. But Bo Nix was identified as being interviewed by the Rams. They've interviewed Braylon Trice at Washington. He's not a first rounder. Jalen Ford, off-ball linebacker at Texas. He's viewed as a late pick, a third-day pick, if not a UDFA. They interviewed Rome Odunze, for sure a first rounder. Bo Nix, if not first round, definitely second round. They've interviewed Audric Estime, the kind of fullback running back from Notre Dame. They've interviewed Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver from Florida, who's an excellent route runner, 6'1", 192. His only flaw is he's not a pure burner. They've interviewed the Michigan group, Carson Barnhart, right tackle with the ability to flex out to other positions on the offensive line, wide receiver Roman Wilson, cornerback Mike Sanistrell, and Jalen Harrell, defensive tackle. They've interviewed Troy Fontenot, Washington, Savion Jackson out of NC State. He's kind of a bit of an undersized edge defensive lineman, 6'2", 263. Andrew Phillips, Kentucky. He's 6 foot 187. Very aggressive cornerback. Of course, they interviewed Chop Robinson. Mark Perry, safety for TCU. Rams do love their TCU players, and he's versatile. Alabama running back Jace McClellan, 6 foot 212, kind of fits what the Rams are looking for there. Maybe we think what they're looking for, something a little heavier, something with some power behind them. Virginia Tech DT Norrell Pollard, he figures to be a UDFA. Gabe Judy Lally, cornerback, he figures to be third day. Auburn guard center Avery Jones, he figures to be third day, if not a UDFA out of Auburn. Okay, so I just named off 19 guys. You know whose name I didn't mention? I didn't mention Laiatu Latu. As far as we know, and that's a big if, the Rams have not interviewed him. I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe the Chop Robinson thing is to get people focused on Chop Robinson so they can get Latu. I don't know. I have no idea. Latu is graded higher, of course, than Chop Robinson. But you'd think somewhere it would leak out if the Rams interviewed Latu. I'm just curious. It's going to be curious to see how it all breaks down, that if the Rams have a shot at any of these 19 guys, how many of them actually end up in horns. And again, Latu, we know about the injuries, and that's been my one thing about him. He had the injuries that forced him to retire, and everyone makes more of Michael Penix's injuries than Latu's injuries. And Latu's guaranteed to bang heads, bang shoulders on every play in the NFL he's in, more so than Penix. He had in 2023, he had 13 sacks. 8 of those sacks combined came from Coastal Carolina, Colorado, and USC. And Colorado and USC were not good teams last year, especially on protecting their quarterbacks. And then you got Coastal Carolina where he had 3. And so 8 of his 13 sacks came against some stiffs regarding offensive line. And so 5 sacks with the rest of the schedule and no official interview that's leaked. So it just makes me, I don't know, I'm just iffy on Latu, right? Now, Rams draft him and he's great. He's the next Leonard Floyd. Okay, great. I screwed up. Rams win. We're all happy. But because of the bitterness of my soul when it comes to sports, I am the kind of guy that puts an "I told you so" in his back pocket and will play that card any chance he gets. Okay. I do have some questions here, and we'll get to them, guys. I promise. Just a reminder, the Rams draft order: 1952, 83, 99, 154, 155, 196, 209, 213, 217, 254. That's a lot of capital to play with. And I think it gets really interesting on the second day and third day when they're moving back from 155 to 160 to collect another pick here and there. And we see the Rams do this all the time. So we'll be getting to that. All right, around the NFL and other places, really interesting news there. Detroit Lions gave the bag to both Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. These are Brad Holmes picks in the Dan Campbell era. These are home runs they hit with their draft picks, and they're taking care of business. And it's just proof that as long as this partnership continues, especially with Brad Holmes, this Lions team is in it for the long haul. And they could be one of those teams that by the time we get to the end of this decade, people aren't going to remember the futility of this franchise, right? It just takes some consistency. Same thing, like, these things happen in New Orleans where no one remembers the joke that New Orleans was from its inception up to the time of, a couple of runs there with Jim Mora, but more than anything else, they were a joke until they didn't win their first playoff game until they beat the Rams in the wild card round in 2000. And it built from there. And of course, during the Sean Payton era, winning a Super Bowl, they kind of took off that mystique of being a joke franchise. I think the Lions are for real. I don't know if their quarterback's enough to get them over the top, but the Lions are for real. The Steelers declined the 5th-year option on Justin Fields' contract. Of course, you didn't pay anything for him. Why are you going to pay anything for him in advance? And they restructured Alex Smith's contract, which is good for the Steelers to do that. Smith's a great player. I like Smith a lot, but I still think the Steelers do need a quarterback, And if one fell to them, I'm asking Steeler fan Rob in Missouri, would they be tempted to draft a quarterback if one fell to them and then put Fields in the street or try to deal him? I'd be curious to know if a quarterback fell to. I'm not saying trade up for one, but if one fell to them. Cowboys picked up Micah Parsons in his 5th-year deal as well. And Cowboys themselves feel like the party is over. Dak is killing them. Not that he's a horrible quarterback, but that contract is ridiculous, and they're losing players left and right they can't keep. They didn't do anything in free agency. And here's my deal with Micah Parsons. In 3 seasons, I think he's got 44 sacks. I think he had 16 last year and 14 each of his first 2 years, or was that inverted? And you know what I can't get out of my head was that no-show against Green Bay in the first round of the playoffs. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm all in on Micah Parsons. And I know his production is there. Chop Robinson had his production. He'd be the first pick in the draft. But there's something about Micah Parsons that just doesn't set right for me. So I hope the Cowboys give him a ton of money and they put him under contract and hamstring themselves for the next 10 years. Okay, Tampa Bay waives former Rams safety, practice squad guy Richard LeCount. He was a Georgia guy, originally drafted by the Browns. He signed with the Rams and was an early cut last summer, and he signed on with Tampa Bay. I think he appeared in a couple games for them, and now he's unemployed. Wanted to mention this. I appreciate you folks that reach out to me. I got an email from Evan Hotz. He's a loyal RamView follower. He says, good job, Joe. Keep building the show. Very encouraging. Thank you guys so much for that. Every time we get that, that is really, we do appreciate it. All right, let's look at the questions here. USA expat, undrafted free agent targets, UFAs, running backs, linebackers, and place kickers. Place kickers, place kickers, place kickers. There we go. I agree. Bill, I remember when the Rams drafted Isaac Bruce. I couldn't find his name in my draft book. I was so mad I threw my Kuiper book against the wall. You just don't know. It's funny. I was just looking at that. I think today is the anniversary of the 94 draft, and the Rams drafted him 33rd overall. You must have read my notes there, Bill. But Memphis, I think it was Memphis. I didn't know who he was either. So don't feel too bad. But Mel Kiper sure should have. Manuel Correa, how's it going? No sound. Do you guys have sound? I hope you have sound. I think you guys got sound. Work on that. If you turn that 4th into a 3rd, you got me on board on that deal with the Quiddy Pay deal. You know what? I couldn't. And I tried. I was just going down the list trying to get teams to make that trade for me, and they wouldn't make the trade. They just would not make the trade. And couldn't get it in. USA expat, my board has, let's see, wait a second. I'm sorry, Manuel Correa. Don't forget that Les Snead pulled the trigger on Julio Jones trade in Atlanta. I remember wanting Julio Jones really, really, really bad when he came out. USA expat, my Ram board has Quinyon Mitchell as the #1 defensive target. Would you draft him if he's there? At 19, even after the other guys that we've signed? Would you draft Quinyon Mitchell if he's there? That would be interesting dilemma to be put in. Manuel Correa, that's his guy. Jonah Ellis at number 52. He's on fire. USA expat, I emailed you my Rams #1 pick on Monday morning. You know what, brother? I think I got that, and I tried to open that file, and it was all weird. If you could send that to me one more time. I had a problem with that for some reason. I was wondering. I thought it was from you, and I wasn't sure. I should have brought it up that night, or should have brought it up beforehand. But I had trouble opening that email. USA expat. If Rams take Latu, it will remind me of the Chris Long pick. Ho hum, let's go. Yeah, that's a curious question. It's like, when you think of busts, you're thinking Jason Smith, you're thinking Ty Hill, you're thinking Adam Carricker, you're thinking Greg Robinson. I know I'm saying bad names here, forgive the profanity, but that is interesting. Chris Long was really good. Chris Long just shouldn't have been the second overall pick in the draft. And the irony is that you get that pick, that year, and you're it's just not it's not a very deep draft, and you have to draft Chris Long. And Chris Long, definitely a first rounder, but doesn't he feel like a late first rounder, like somewhere between 25 and 32, right? Yeah, that one's, I agree totally with the ho hum there. Dano, Washington's Braylon Trice at 52. I'll dance with that. I'm good with that. If we don't make the deal for Quiddy Pay, I'll dance with that. Tim Powers. Oh, Mr. Irvine cracking in here. Oh, Latu at 19, Troy Flanken at 52 if he's there. Do you want Latu that bad? Are you that sold on Latu, right? 8 of his 13 sacks against USC, Coastal Carolina, and Colorado. I don't know. There's something about it, man. Something about it that's lacking, and I'm not feeling comfortable with him. Let's see, Emmanuel Korea. Gee, I didn't know. Jonah Ellis at number 52. Lions fell in love with my guy, Marshawn Nealon, so he could be pick 29. Boy, that would be a reach. That would be a reach if the Lions took Nealon there at number 29. Dano, Manuel Korea, Trice or Ellis will be nice at 52. Okay. All right, Mr. Tim Burns dropping in. Still going with my final answer. Cooper DeJean at 19. If we take a quarterback, it'll be Penix. Oh, man. I don't see it. It hasn't been a hot topic the last few weeks. Cooper DeJean, you get a guy that can play corner. There's the belief he can move. He'll probably be a safety in the NFL, and he's a kick guy, so a kick return guy. So I understand your feeling there. Tim Burns, who is the opposing player that you consider the Rams' nemesis, the guy the Rams hate most of all? Hated Kaepernick, not for the kneeling, but I felt he wasn't as close to the hype. He got exposed, like every player gets exposed. I don't know if I hate somebody like that or anything. I just feel like some players just get rated great before they're great. I never was all in on Kyler Murray. And you know what? It's not even a talent thing. It's a disposition thing. You didn't even have to hear any of the pundits talk about it. That playoff game against the Rams, his disposition, that would have set me off if I was a teammate. I just didn't like his body language. To me, he strikes me as the kind of guy that's always going to point at his teammate and not necessarily in an encouraging way. So yeah, I'm not a Kyler Murray fan. Manuel Korea, Cooper DeJean is a safety at best. All right, guys, let's keep trucking along here. Let's get to the other side. I am Joe Terozin. I was a sports writer for 21 years, still am kind of, and now I do RamView. Thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law, and I write books. My books are available on Amazon, and I know you folks out there have been helping me out and buying them. We don't have a Patreon account. We don't have a paywall. And so by supporting with the books and everything, you guys help me stay on the air. Supports me in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you can check us out right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual. We have a channel, as well as BurbankFaithVirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual across social media. And I'm privileged that I get to do this. Okay, so here's that deal. I'm going to throw it out and get you again, in case people are clicking on late. I've run the course on mock drafts. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are, okay, and so at number 19, I tried to find a trade partner. I tried the Steelers. No, right? I tried the Cowboys. No. I tried a whole bunch of teams. I couldn't get anybody to trade with me. Dolphins. No. They just would not make the deal no matter what. Finally, I got to the Colts at number 46, and I sent the Rams' 19th overall pick to the Colts for number 46 in the second round, 117 in the fourth round, and 191 in the sixth round. Also, I acquired Kwity Paye, who's heading into his fourth season, I think, in the NFL, or fifth season. And I think it's his fourth. And he's a proven NFL player. Is he great? No. But he's a proven NFL player. And I thought he'd be a great balance to Byron Young on the other side. And so I made that deal. And someone said if I got a third rounder for him, they'd be happier. But I just couldn't get anyone to deal. So I thought veteran, right? Veteran. Let's get a veteran in there, a guy that we know that can play. Anderson kid was drafted what, second overall, third overall last year by Houston. I didn't think he was any better than Kobe Durant or Kobe Turner or Byron Young. He just wasn't. And they're going to pay all that money to him. It takes time. You know, Trev Hendrickson is asking for a trade from Cincinnati, and he came to Cincinnati from the Saints. He was a third round pick with the Saints. His first 3 years combined, he had 8 sacks. 1 year, he didn't have any. In his fourth year with the Saints, he had 14 sacks. In his fourth year, okay? Fourth year. And then that's when he signed the free agent contract with Cincy, and now he wants out. You know, he finished with 20 sacks last year, averaged 1 a game almost, or more than that. But it was 4 years. You draft a edge guy that's a rookie right now. What if it takes him 3 years? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's not make it 4. What if it takes him 3 years to catch fire? Well, 24, 25, 26. By the time 26 is coming around, we're going to be at the back end of this present Super Bowl window, and he's going to be worthless to us at this time. That's how I feel. I want to get a veteran in there. If the Rams can make a deal, then let's make a deal, right? And so that's what I was thinking. So I ship off number 19 to the Colts, okay? And we pick up the 46th pick in the draft. And that pick is Ricky Pearsall, slot receiver, Florida. Perfect pick to complement where the Rams are at with Tutu, DeMarcus, all in their last year, with Kupp getting older, and with Nakua susceptible, I believe, because of his style of play, to injury. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. At number 52, defensive tackle Chris Jenkins, Michigan. There we go, huh? I like that pick. Number 83, I took Brandon Coleman. That's the only one I was kind of about. I took Brandon Coleman, tackle TCU, because the Rams do love TCU players. I took him at 83. At number 99, I took Clemson linebacker, off-ball linebacker, Jeremiah Trotter. If you remember, Ernest Jones was 104 out of South Carolina. This time we go back to South Carolina, but at Clemson, and we take Jeremiah Trotter at 99. I did this because I could not avoid it. At number 117, I took Penn State center Hunter Nourzad, and I just thought that was a good pick, and I went with him. At 154, I took Alabama running back Jace McClellan, who the Rams have interviewed. At 155, I took North Carolina linebacker Cedric Gray. At number 191, I took edge / interior guy Jalen Harrell from Michigan. Rams have interviewed him. At 196, a little bit high, I drafted Mark Perry. I think he's TCU too, and he's versatile at the safety spot. 209, this one felt like a reach. I took running back Dylan Johnson out of Washington. At 213, I took defensive tackle Miles Murphy. And at 217, I took Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton. Hit the road, Stetson. Let's develop Joe Milton. And at 254, all of you guys, give me props. I took Josh Carty out of Stanford. There you go. That was my draft there. Tim Burns. Kyler strung the A's into wasting a high first round on him. Talking about Kyler Murray. I heard he couldn't hit the curveball. Manuel Correa. You hated Joe Montana, Manuel? You hated Joe Montana? As if as a Ram fan, I could not hate Joe Montana, right? I just couldn't. I just thought he was too great, right? He was just too great. Tim Powers. Donald pulls a fast one. Rams fortify their defense, and he unretires. Let it be. Hey, I told everybody, until the draft is over, I got Aaron Donald in pencil as retired. In pencil. You know, as it gets closer to the draft being over, then I'm going to believe. I think it'd be interesting to see if the Rams go light on DT. Could they be thinking, oh, Donald's coming back, right? Because if not, you got to go heavy. You got to at least get 2 defensive tackles. You don't have to take them in the first round, but you got to get 2 defensive tackles. You need some heft along that defensive front. I just can't believe Donald would retire. This is my whole struggle. Why would he retire when the Super Bowl window is open, right? But apparently he has, but you never know. I mean, he talked about retirement before, and you know what? Let him retire and let him not come back. I think with salary cap and everything, it opens the door for new opportunities for the Rams to do creative things. I don't want a double-minded guy on the team that's in and out. Either you're all in or you're all out. Players get hurt playing football when they're not all in. It just happens. Willie Bowen, I pray that the LA Rams draft Latu from UCLA at number 19. I don't want them to draft him, but like I said, if they do draft him, I'm going to be all in. Willie Bowen, Michael Hoyt can take Aaron Donald's spot on the defensive line. Yeah, man, haven't we talked about that, right? We've all talked about this, that no one's hitting on that enough in the KBM and the Kiss Butt media, is that why not ask Michael Hoyt, who's still running at 3 spins, and he's a baller, right? You love Michael Hoyt. Put a fist back down on the turf and use him to create an opportunity on that defensive front. Fully agree, Mr. Bowen. Fully agree. USA expat number 99 retirement equals happy wife, happy life. Laugh out loud. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Dano, would you trade for Micah Parsons for 24 and 25 first-round picks? Isn't that funny that you asked me that question? Because I didn't want to do that for Brian Burns, but I said I would do that for Josh Allen in Jacksonville. Talent-wise, you say, yeah, let's dance. Let's do it. Personality-wise, I don't know. There's just something that's off-putting. I don't know. Does Micah Parsons have the dog in him, right? We use that expression a lot. Does Micah Parsons have the dog where he's just going to, I don't care. That playoff game, man, that was his defense. I know it was Dan Quinn's, he was the DC, but that defense he's the face of that defense, Micah Parsons, and they got chewed up and spit out by Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Okay, our good friend Dano sent us his, and I do apologize, USA expat, that I haven't seen that yet, and I did see it, but I couldn't open it for your mock draft. Please forgive me. But Dano, I got yours. And this is what Dano said in his email to me. He says, after doing countless mock drafts, I noticed a pattern. I'm torn with 2 players at each spot, focused on defense, and kept it at 3 rounds. Okay, so you're just looking at the first 100 here. At number 19, Dano was torn between Byron Murphy out of Texas and Chop Robinson at Penn State. At number 52, he was torn between Braylon Trice and Ricky Pearsall, Florida. At number 83, he was torn between Jalen McMillan, an underrated receiver at Washington, right? Not a first-day guy, but an underrated receiver, or Javon Baker, wide receiver at Central Florida. Number 99, Andrew Phillips, cornerback at Kentucky, or Kirian Amagaji out of Yale, the offensive tackle. And this is what he settled on. These are Dano's picks in the first 100. Byron Murphy, number 19, out of Texas, with the 52nd pick in the draft. The Rams select, according to Dano, Braylon Trice, edge, Washington. At number 83, Javon Baker, wide receiver, UCF. And at number 99, Kirian Amagaji out of Yale. One thing about those Yale guys, right? They're smart. And you know what? It hits everything that you want to hit. Defensive line, edge, wide receiver, offensive tackle. So I'm good with the offensive tackle being taken there. I just want depth pieces, and I want those guys time to develop. Javon Baker, I'm not as hip on as some of the other receivers we've been talking about, but we all know about Braylon Trice. And if Braylon Trice is there at 52, I think that's great. You get your edge, and then Byron Murphy, who everyone seems to like. And again, if you miss that at 19, I think there's DTs later on you can take, but good pick. And this was Dano's final comment was, after hearing McSneed's pre-draft press conference, they might select a wide receiver first. That thing was goofy, man. There was so many weird things they were talking about, and I just think the Rams sometimes, I think they are practicing the art of deception quite a bit there, and that is interesting. But that's a good draft there. It hits those points, right? Defensive line, edge, wide receiver, offensive tackle. Those are the key things that I think the Rams need to hit on, and I'm good with those things happening in any order. All right, let's see. Willie Bowen, what running back with fullback abilities should the Rams take in the draft? Well, they've interviewed Estime. We've talked about the Davis guy from Kentucky, and then Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. Who they should take, I think, is going to be who's there. The thing that I heard about Estime early on was he looked good during the season, but he did not have a good postseason workout stretch there. He struggled at the combine, or maybe it was his pro day. I think it was the combine. And so that one's interesting. The Rams know what they got out of Notre Dame the last time. So I wouldn't have a problem with any of those guys. Davis intrigues me. There is a running back that does intrigue me. He's not a fullback. I'm trying to remember which one of you guys brought me his name. Is the kid from Purdue, Tracy, Ty Tracy Jr., the running back from Purdue, used to be a receiver. He can play running back, and he's also a kick returner. He intrigued me quite a bit. Okay, so USA expat, it was encrypted. Thank you. Yeah, it was a little weird looking, and I couldn't dance with that. But I'll get that pronto here if you send that to me. Let's see. Tim Burns, we'd be crazy if we began with Latu. Okay. Talked weeks about so many others, and we're back to Latu. I don't see it. I just have this hesitancy, right? I don't know. I could be wrong. I could have this hesitancy. But, I also have this tendency that when something good happens, I'll declare that I've always been a Rams fan or a Latu fan or something like that. So we'll see. All right, Manuel Correa. I like Murphy, but 6 foot size small. We got lucky once. Yeah, that was Aaron Donald, right? It's all about the motor, right? What's the motor like? And I've heard that sometimes that Byron Murphy makes the big play, but he doesn't make the consistent play. That's what I've heard. It's a little more splash, more of a splash player, kind of like a Kyler Murray. They'll make the splash play, but then the basics he doesn't quite make. That's what I've heard, and I could be wrong. Tim Burns, if we went running back at 99, Purdue's running back might fit nicely in our system. I don't want a running back before our last 3 picks personally. You know what? If that running back like this, it is Tracy, right? Please, somebody give me that name. I'm butchering that name right now. But if you could take that Tracy kid who can give you legitimate kick return ability, then I say you make that move. Also, one of the things I'd like to think about with the new rules for the kickoffs, does this put Tutu Atwell back in play as maybe a kick returner? There's less bearing down on him as quickly, and I'm just wondering, hey, it's his last year with the Rams, right? We might as well wring out every bit of that speed so he spends it on us and doesn't spend it in Tampa Bay in another year or someplace. I would like to see us maybe give him another look at being a kick returner with these modified rules. All right. We've gone through who the Rams interviewed. We've gone through the Rams, the drafts and everything, the mock drafts. Let's look at on this date in Ram history.
Stone Groove, my man.
Yeah, I did that for Mr. Barker. I haven't hit that for a while. On this date in history, on April 24th, 1973, Lance Rensel pleads guilty to marijuana possession. This is the entire 73 season. I thought that was interesting. On this date in 1988, Rams send a 4th-round pick to the San Diego Chargers for tight end Pete Holohan, maybe one of the most underrated tight ends in Ram history. But also on that same day, they drafted Aaron Cox, Gaston Green, right, in the 1st round. But they did pick up Flipper Anderson at number 46 on this day in 1988. And Robert Del Pino in 1988 in the 4th-round pick. Let's see what else we got here. On this day in 2004, the Rams traded back traded up with the Bengals. They sent the number 26th overall pick and a 123 pick in the fourth round of the Bengals to move up to number 124, and they drafted the greatest draft pick the Rams had the first 10 years of this century. They drafted Steven Jackson. So as hard as I am on the Rams, that's the one thing they did right in the draft this century when it comes to trading and moving things around. So good for them. On this date in 2005, they drafted Ryan Fitzpatrick, 250th overall, and he had a heck of a career. And then really underrated, on this day in 2020, the Rams drafted Cam Akers, Van Jefferson, Terrell Burgess, Terrell Lewis. You know, some hit and misses there, right? There's a couple moments for each of those guys. But they also signed as free agents, NFL free agents. They signed A'Shawn Robinson and Leonard Floyd. And they really got payoff from both those guys, right? A'Shawn Robinson and Leonard Floyd did a great job for the Rams in their time here. We won a Super Bowl. And, of course, Vince the Prince Ferragamo turns 70 today. And I've always felt his career was really just kind of weird because, he has that break. Just when he breaks through in 1980 and he's off the charts in 1980, he ends up in Canada. And it's a disaster playing for Nelson Skladany's Montreal Alouettes. He gets benched and everything's just awful. Comes back to the Rams in 82, and he replaces Burt Jones, and he's throwing the ball all over the yard. But I thought when you saw him in 83, he didn't look confident anymore. I don't know what you thought. Maybe you didn't see it because I'm old, but I saw him in 83. He just didn't look confident. I think he had 21 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, but just that boldness of going down the field, he didn't look the same. 84, he got off to a bad start, then got hurt, and then Jeff Kemp finished the rest of the year. And then I think he was dealt to Buffalo after that. But you just want to see what Ferragamo would have looked like just as a consistent starter. And I don't know if that was the offense under on one offense under John Hadle in 82, who was the OC, versus the John Robinson, Eric Dickerson teams that was run heavy in 83. Largely the same receivers, but probably a different system. He just didn't look confident at all. All right. Tomorrow, it is draft day. We will be on after the draft. But there were some events that happened on April 25th in Rams history. A bad one for me on that date, April 25th, 1983, the Rams traded Wendell Tyler, Cody Jones, and a third-round pick to the 49ers for a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. And that second-round pick became Mike Wiltshire, not bad. And then the fourth-round pick became former Washington kicker Chuck Nelson. If you remember, there was a period there where in 83 where Lansford was injured. But the trading of Wendell Tyler was a crusher because I was a huge Wendell Tyler fan. But the trading of him to the 49ers was just doubly stupid. He runs for 1,100 yards in 83, runs for another 700 sharing time with Roger Craig in 84, and he wins the Super Bowl. Spends the 85 season there, and I think he retires after the 85 season. I've always been a big Wendell Tyler fan. April 25th, 1995, the Rams drafted the bus, Jerome Bettis at number 10 overall. They also kind of whiffed on a tight end that was supposed to be pretty special, but he turned out to be pretty ordinary, Troy Drayton at number 39 overall. And then finally, real quick, want to throw it out there. Jordan Fuller was drafted on April 25th, 2020 with the Tom Brady pick, 6th round, 199 overall. And so he gave the Rams 4 good years, right? So good for him. I want to mention Carroll Dale. He was born on this day in 1938. He's 86. He was a Ram receiver. He's remembered with the Packers, but he was a Ram receiver for first 5 years of his career out of Va Tech. Okay, one thing I want to mention here, it was interesting because it was 1978. Going back to 1977, coming out of Ohio State was a punter named Tom Skladany. And Tom Skladany was rated like the second greatest punter in college football history. He was considered right up there with Ray Guy. And we all know everyone should know who Ray Guy is, Hall of Famer. And he was drafted 46th overall by the Browns in 77. But as a punter, he held out for the whole season. He was the first NFL draft pick to ever hold out for an entire season. And if he didn't sign with the Browns, he didn't sign with anybody, he would enter back into the draft and the Browns would lose that pick or lose any value they could have gotten from that pick. So with the NFL draft coming on, the Rams, because of George Allen, he had just come there, and I don't know how much Don Klosterman was involved, but George Allen was a big special teams guy, right? Huge special teams guy. That's why we made the deal for Eddie Brown. The Rams in 77 had Raphael Septien, who was a so-so kicker, and he lost his job to Frank Corral that summer. But they also had Glenn Walker out of USC, and Glenn Walker was their punter in 77, and Glenn Walker just did not have a leg, right? I liked him when he was at USC, didn't like him with the Rams. So on this day in 78, the Browns traded the rights to Tom Skladany to the Rams for a second-round pick and two third-round picks, one in 1978 and one in 79. And if he became a top 3 punter in 78, that 1979 pick would become a second rounder. So it could have been a second and a third for Tom Skladany. But here's the deal with Skladany. He never signed with the Rams. He wouldn't sign with the Rams either, and the trade was voided. He was eventually traded. His rights were traded to the Lions, and he kicked with the Lions for about 4 or 5 years, made Pro Bowl one year, hurt his back and had to retire. But he was literally considered a Ray Guy level type of performer. And of course, George Allen, it's like, yeah, give him as many picks as you want. I need my special teams to get better. And I read an article, I don't know if it was in a New York paper or what, I just read it online, was the thinking was that Skladany, who did some double duty at Ohio State, he could replace Septien, and the Rams could have a punter-kicker combo, which they eventually had with Corral in 80 and 81, and that would allow the Rams to carry 3 quarterbacks on their roster, right? Ferragamo, Hayden, and Roman Gabriel, right? Roman Gabriel, because that was Allen's plan to bring Gabriel on as a third-string quarterback / quarterback coach. All right, we got that in. We're at the 46-minute mark. Let's see if we have any other questions here. All right, Tyrone Tracy, thank you, Manuel Correa. I do appreciate that. Bill, I love the way you do your best to answer all our questions. Oh, man, dude, thank you so much, Bill. I do appreciate that. I really do. Willie Bowen, what's up, Manuel? Manuel, what's up, Willie? You guys know each other? All right, you guys know each other. Tim Powers out of Irvine. I like Lobby, the New Hampshire running back. That's that Dylan Lobby, right? Good receiver out of the backfield. His name has popped up, right? I think he is a third-day guy if he's there out of New Hampshire. See, I'm aware of Dylan Lobby. There you go. I feel good about that one. Try to slip one by me, Mr. Powers. You didn't do it. Willie Bowen. LA Rams need to get a red zone, red zone godliness scoring machine, a scoring machine, whatever it is. The one thing I want to see, and I know it's heresy to speak against Sean McVay, but I don't understand. There were games where they're running that gap scheme running game and they're pounding the ball. Pound, 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 pound. We get to the 12, we get inside the deep into the red zone or even in goal-to-goal situations. Next thing you know, we're throwing fades to the corner, right? And it's like, keep pounding the ball, man. Just keep pounding the ball. And, maybe the beef up front now gives McVay a little more confidence to do that. I do appreciate Kyron Williams because he'll slam into anything, but I don't know if his body can handle that. But I do agree, Willie Bone, not only do you need to pound the ball, but they do need to get a back that carries 210 pounds or more and is willing to slam into that line. So, yeah, those red zone trips were just kind of like, because one, you couldn't count on your kicker, right? And then, the field gets tighter there in the red zone too. You can't exploit the back half of the field. It's like you got 15 to 20 yards to play with. And so pound the ball, just pound the ball. And I don't know about any of you. I just hate the fade to the corner. I just do. Maybe if you're throwing to Randy Moss, it's okay, but I do. Manuel Correa, Braylon Allen, Wisconsin. Yep, there you go. That's the guy we were talking about. USA expat. I liked Wendell Tyler, but remember the label of carries the ball like a loaf of bread. Yeah, I threw my football away. He had that stretch there, especially in 79, where he put the ball on the ground a lot. But I thought he really tightened up his game after that 79 season. I thought he really did. But it's something that was a reputation that kind of stuck with him, and it's fair treatment, USA expat. Let's see. Tyler was my guy from UCLA. Hey, Manuel Correa, who was the guy in the backfield with Tyler? Who was the guy in the backfield with Tyler? You know, John Sharwa, Jeff Dankworth were the quarterbacks. And then you had Tyler, and then you had another dude there. Had some good games. I'm not talking Theodis Brown. I'm talking before Theodis Brown. There's a name I'm throwing out there. If you throw that at me, Manuel Correa, you're going to go off the charts. USA expat. My guy, let's see, Ray Guy grew up punting the ball over farms power lines. Yeah, there was nothing like Ray Guy. And I still remember seeing Ray Guy in a 73 preseason game against the Rams. The Raiders beat the Rams 16-3. And Ray Guy, even then, his rookie year, you knew he was a beast, right? Top of the line athlete, too. Dan O, hoping to draft a running back that can return kickoffs. Austin Trammell scares me. Yeah, and Trammell's gone, right? Trammell, I think, is history. They did not bring Trammell back. He's gone the Bryson Hopkins route, and so he'll be bouncing around the NFL. Tyrone Tracy can return kicks. Absolutely. That's why I would consider Tyrone Tracy. I know we don't want a running back high, but at 99, I would consider Tyrone Tracy, even though that's a little high for me, but I would because of his ability to do both. And as I was reading about him, they were talking about how he played wide receiver first so he can catch, but also he hasn't had those 250 carry seasons back to back as a running back, right? And so I am interested in Tyrone Tracy. Dano, yes, I like him in the later rounds. Awesome. Willie Bowen, Pat Thomas, Nolan Cromwell, Rod Perry, and Leroy Irvins. My favorite Rams in the secondary. Okay, there you go. Not an Elmendorf guy. I'm kind of an Elmendorf guy. You know who I really liked when I was a kid before he tore up his knee was Charlie Stukes. He was a big corner. Anyone remember Charlie Stukes? He had 2 really good years for the Rams. Manuel Correa, nope, not Theodis Brown. I was thinking Eddie Ayers. Does UCLA guys remember Eddie Ayers out there? Because I remember Eddie Ayers. All right, there we go. Let's go check out. Let me just check out a couple other things here. See if we've got everything covered. Yeah. Oh, you know what I want to do, guys? Talk amongst yourselves for a second. I want to see if I got USA guys. There we go. I got his draft here. Okay, I'm reading this. This is from USA Expat. And forgive me, I'm reading it off my phone because I didn't want to make any mistakes here. Here are my Rams draft predictions. Strategy. 1, splash draft targeting top quality versus quantity means moving up 4 to 7 picks. Ooh. Number 2, all lower picks used for depth on offensive line, running back, linebacker, and edge. Cornerback, not in that order. Note, in moving up, the Rams realize next year's picks will be very late round picks. I will not make a second round prediction due to possible use as draft capital to move up. Rams first pick in the draft, Byron Thomas, wide receiver. All right, Byron Thomas, wide receiver, LSU. I do like Byron Thomas. I do. I like him a lot. So at 19, I think it's a safe bet. Thank you so much, USA Expat. And the trading is the thing we're just not going to account for. There could be all kinds of moving around. And I didn't think much of it at first. And then I was listening to another podcast, Rams Up with Mark Burns, and they were hitting on it. That's a huge gap from 99 to 154. And it got me rethinking that, yeah, you know what? You want to have some capital in that 4th round to either, trade up or somebody falls. If you miss them at 99, you won't have another chance at 150, 154 to get that person. So, yeah. Thank you, Manuel Correa. I got it. Brown was with Gaston Green. No, Theodis Brown was with Gaston Green. Eric Ball was with Gaston Green. I'm just messing you up. I'm not even a UCLA guy. I'm a USC running back guy. I'm giving you guys a hard time. Steeler fan Rob, no quarterback. Wilson and Fields are enough. Okay, can everyone take a screenshot of what it says? Rob Swords. That's Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. Steeler fan Rob in Missouri says no quarterback. Wilson and Fields are enough. Okay. Can someone screenshot that just to make sure we have that for playback when it's week 9 and the world is on fire in Pittsburgh, because you're going to go to war with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields against Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and that Browns defense, and likely Deshaun Watson. I'm not a big Deshaun Watson guy. He's not the same, but we know Russell Wilson's not the same. And we know Justin Wilson has never been anything close to an NFL quarterback. Well, I take that back. He's not ready to play. And so I wasn't suggesting a trade, Steeler fan Rob. I was just suggesting, if one fell to you, what are you going to do, right? A Michael Penix is there at number 20. And it's like, when am I going to get this shot again? When am I going to get this shot again? Let's see. Willie Bowen. Do you remember Bernie Casey, tight end, played for the Rams? You know, my first memory of Bernie Casey was in the movie of the week, The Gargoyles, in 1972. If you ever see Gargoyles, it was a TV movie of the week. It wasn't exactly The Night Stalker with Darren McGavin, but it was kind of creepy when you're 8. And Bernie Casey was the lead gargoyle. And that's how I found out who Bernie Casey was. And then I saw him in other things. And then by 75, I knew he had played in the NFL, played for the 49ers, played for the Rams. Then you saw some old highlights and everything. And then I knew he was a player. And then, of course, he was UN Jefferson in Revenge of the Nerds. So I knew who he was because you would see the NFL film stuff. But my first introduction to Bernie Casey was in Gargoyles. And here's the thing. Bernie Casey, the Rams got 2 fairly decent years out of him, especially his first year, but he had a great build. It's a shame, that they couldn't have got him earlier. But again, before George Allen, they didn't even know what to do with Roman Gabriel, drafting 2 quarterbacks in the top 10, 1 first overall after drafting Roman Gabriel. They had no clue. So if they had gotten Bernie Casey before, when they did, it wouldn't have mattered because they just would have blown it with him. But he was towards the end of his career, and he was a different cat, right? He was an artist. He was a different thing. He was an actor, and he had a good career. I liked Bernie Casey. I did. That's interesting you asked me about him, but that's my memory. Rob Sorge, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson are upgrade from last year. I thought you were a Kenny Pickett guy. You were all in on small hands. Kenny Small Hands Pickett. I thought you were all in on that guy. Willie Bowen, Lamar Lundy played the giant Cyclops monster in Lost in Space 60. Oh, man, you got me on that one. I did not know that. I did not know that about Lamar Lundy. Okay. All right. I know we're having fun here real quick. Caleb Williams goes number 1 overall. Jaden Daniels, number 2. I can't believe the Patriots. They said today, I had Coward on in the car. They said no one's inquiring with the Patriots about the number 3 pick. I think the Patriots have to take Drake May. But the Patriots, they're a crazy organization, man. I don't even know why they hired Gerard Mayo. They got rid of Belichick, and then they go right to a Belichick disciple. They had a chance to shake things up, and then you could draft a quarterback. And so I heard that today, that no one wanted to trade up. So if no one wants to trade up, I'm taking Drake May. You got to get this franchise back going in the right direction. And then the other one was Colin Coward, because I was driving in. Colin Coward was down on J.J. McCarthy. And here's the thing about Coward is, no matter, he used to bag on Aaron Rodgers not being able to play, and then he had to morph towards, I don't like Aaron Rodgers' style outside of it. But when a player, he decides he doesn't like somebody, he just keeps looking for reasons to not like somebody. Tebow's winning all these games, wins a playoff game, and he'd have Trent Dilfer on every week to talk about how bad Tebow sucked, even though his team kept winning. He kept talking about how bad Aaron Rodgers was. I remember when they went into Atlanta and they won that playoff game, and Rodgers probably played as perfect a game as you ever saw, and Coward was talking trash. And that's why I stopped listening to Coward for the longest time. Now on my car on the radio, there's sports talk is so bad, he's the only one kind of to listen to. But I was surprised he went after J.J. McCarthy today. And of course, J.J. McCarthy could win the Super Bowl now, and Coward will just have to be proven right that he didn't believe in him from the get-go. All right, guys. Draft starts tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then after the first round, we'll be on the air. Give me about 5 minutes to set things up. I'm thinking I might be watching it with Mid-Valley guys. And then, of course, they're in the room with the Chargers. And I'm thinking, because I don't do this, I might have, if the Chargers make a lot of noise in the draft, make some deals, I'm thinking of asking maybe Tim Peterson from Mid-Valley to join us just for a little bit there to talk about those Charger deals if they do make them. If not, it's just us, guys. I don't want to bring in too many other outsiders. Friday, 4 p.m., second and third round starts, and Saturday, 9 a.m. That's a great way to start the day. Saturday, 9 a.m., that's when the draft starts. And after each one of these, give me about 5 minutes. We'll be on the air and we'll break those things down. They won't be long shows. They won't be like this. This is an hour show. I really blew it today. 10 minutes, way too long. Okay, guys, God bless. Take care, and we will get out of here as soon as we can. Arthur Smith, upgrade over Matt Canada. I agree. Willie Bowen, Henry Childs, tight end, Terry Nelson, tight end, Tom Newberry, offensive line, man. Great LA Rams legends. Henry Childs, he had like about 7 games for the Rams in 81, man. And then I think he tore up his Achilles. Was it against Dallas? Tom Newberry, great pick. Terry Nelson, 1983 pick, played for the Rams all those years, was the starting tight end in the Super Bowl, made some catches. Only caught 99 passes in his career. Poor guy. He was just one of those blockers, but tight end blocks, he's going to have a career in the NFL. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Willie, Tim, Manuel, Bill, USA Expat, all you guys, Manuel, everybody, Dano for clicking on, and we will be live mañana right after the draft. God bless, guys. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and share with your friends, and we will see you tomorrow after the draft.